All right, man, we back. Motor City Sports Talk. Let's talk a little bit about Quinn's press conference today. And he brought up why the lack of interest in free agency. And he also made the decision to keep the 90-man roster instead of cutting it down to 80. So we'll talk about the ramifications and the impact as far as that. Hit that subscribe button, bell icon button, share the video. Appreciate the love, support. So, I mean, we can start off with them keeping the 90-man roster. Today was the day where if you didn't cut it down to 80, you have to keep your veterans and your rookies separated for workouts all the way until, I think like August 12th, where then you got to get down to 80, and then you can bring everybody together because of the COVID-19 protocol. So Bob Quinn says that basically that they still got a lot of people on that 90-man roster that got something to offer, and they want to see what they got to offer. He said he envisioned this when they was drafting and in free agency. He said they got a small rookie class, so it shouldn't pretty much hurt them. They wanted to have more veterans than younger guys on the team this season. So basically, what he's saying is the balance of veterans are abnormal to rookies than it's been in the past. So they have more veterans than younger players, and that's kind of how he wanted to build it, because they knew with the COVID-19 that they would have to get guys that was used to the football language or the national football language, used to the pro style, and they would have to understand the lingo easier than the rookie would have to come in. So he said they've been prepared for this, and they knew this would probably happen, so they're going to keep the roster at 90 and then cut it down to 80 when they have to. So I know they agreed to some testing. You have to test every day for the first 2 weeks to begin. Let's rewind. You have to test 3 times negative to come on to the facility for training camp. So with that being said, he didn't reveal if anybody's opted out of the football season, or he didn't reveal if anybody tested positive, yet. So he's playing that close to the vest, and that's their personal preference. When a player want to come out and say, well, I tested positive for COVID that's his own personal preference. His team, his agent could put a press release out there, so it's really nobody's business. Your health is your business. So obviously they won't have a bubble this year. They're going to be traveling as normal, and that's kind of the tricky thing when you carrying a 52, 53-man roster and maybe some practice squad players on the road. That's tough. But right now, nobody has opted out to his. Well, he didn't say that, and he said nobody has tested positive yet, but he's not going to reveal if anybody has. So, so for now, the rookies and the veterans will be kept separate in on these OTA type practices. Basically, it's strength and conditioning, where they come out, work out, strength and conditioning. They probably do some classroom work, and then I think August 12th they can do some field work or some non-padded practice work, and then a few days later they can start, or a week later they can start doing the padded practices. So not knowing if they're going to have a preseason or not, that hasn't been revealed to my knowledge. But I would have just cut the 10 off top and had everybody working together. But that's his prerogative, Bob Quinn. That's what they chose to go through. That means they like a lot of the guys that they brought in. So they liked a lot of the little free agent guys they brought in that may or may not make the team, and they also like a lot of the undrafted free agents they brought in. So they want to get a little closer. So that must mean it's really thin, for competition. So they must like a lot of guys. Now if it was like, we got 90 men, but it's 80s we really like and kind of 10 we really don't like, or 5 we really don't like, then I think they would have cut off the top. So I think they feel very, very confident in the players they brought in to compete. So I think whoever come in great condition, and then the COVID is going to be another thing. You cut 10 guys, and one of the 80 you kept get the COVID, then he might move on and go to Los Angeles Rams and play for them. So I think that's an aspect when I did the video yesterday I didn't think of, because if you keep 90, if you keep 80, and then one of the 80 or few of the 80 test positive, then you didn't cut 10. So we'll see. Some of them guys are gonna have to go on the COVID injured reserve list. So I think in the grand scheme of things, that was smart for them to keep the 90. You know what I'm saying? See who tests positive, and that could be that could remain an ace in the hole to who you're gonna keep, who you're not gonna keep when it come up to August 12th, whatever it is. So I didn't think of it that way, but I think that was very, very smart on his behalf, and think it was amazing for him to actually come up with that idea. But he paid to do so. I think that was a smart move to keep the 90, because you don't know out the 90 who's gonna test positive. And also, he got the inside track too. He knows who's tested positive and who's opted out as well. He knows that, So we don't know that information. So if he got 10 or 20 guys that tested positive, you're really gonna cut 10 guys that might tested negative. They can stand in and fill that role. So, unless you got a really, really deep team, that'll be very, very interesting. But he talked about free agency. Everybody was talking about Everson Griffin, Marcus Golden, Jadeveon Clowney. I'll do a little video on Larry Warford. I uploaded before this one. And basically he said there's no protocol on bringing in free agency. They can't come to the facility. And this is what I thought. The reason why I thought they were looking to bringing in free agents, because you don't know if they tested negative. They're not allowed on the team facility right now, so you can't do your testing. Even for COVID, you can't do your physical. If you want to do a testing, you have to send them to a third-party place like Concentra to do their testing, and then you probably got to test them 3 or 4 times, and then come in the building. And even if you test them 3,000-4,000 times, they come in the building, they can contract it from an Uber, a Lyft ride, or a plane, or whatever. Or the testing is not 100%. They can have it, but it could have been 3 false negatives, and you bring them to the building, and you contaminate the building. So he's really said there's no protocol for bringing in free agents, so that's why they haven't touched them. So we know, and people that get traded. So I don't know what they're gonna do about Jamal Adams, because he won't be allowed to be able to come on the Seattle Seahawks site until they put those parameters in place. And Bob Quinn said right now they're working on it, but he really don't have enough information to give to the media as far as putting those parameters in place or giving us the information on when they can bring in free agents. There's a really good free agents out there that's just sitting there, and it dawned on me. I'm like, damn, why the Lions don't go do nothing? This is them again not taking the chance. But then again, nobody else is taking the chance. You know what I'm saying? Because you can't get these dudes in and get a physical, and they played with fire trying to get Todd Gurley in Atlanta, and they finally got him in for a physical, and he checked out fine. Imagine paying him, he come in and his physical don't check out. Well, after the draft, you could have took a running back, and now you got to avoid his contract, and now you got to go through free agency and find you another running back. So, I mean, the Lions are doing it the right way, and then the salary cap is supposed to come down next year, so they leaving themselves enough space to be able to accommodate to sign Galladay and still be in a good position to have some cap space next year, because the salary cap is supposed to be lower. Usually it goes up, so with the $29 million free they got now, whatever the guesstimation is, they're in a great position next year to re-up with Galladay, and they're in a great position to have some flexibility next year, where a lot of teams are going to be pretty much, busting at the seams of the cap. So I understand why he doesn't go out there and sign these free agents, because there's no protocol for you to bring them in. You only can test them at a third-party site. You can't really get the physical with your doctors. They got to go to another doctor, and it's really, really a crapshoot. So, it seemed like he made a conscious effort to get more veterans, on the team, than young guys, so they can retain the information, pick up the playbook. They know what's expected of them. So there's a little bit of method. It's a method to his madness. It's for Bob Quinn. So I definitely understand why he done everything he done as far as the not cutting it down to 80. I understand why he done everything. Why he hasn't signed free agents. And you got to ask yourself. A lot of teams haven't signed free agents or traded a lot of players other than Jamal Adams heading into the New York Jets. So, if everybody ain't doing this, a reason why. So the NFL is still working on, the protocol. And what's so funny to me is you had all this time since we found out it was the COVID. I understand they had to work on the draft and making the draft virtual and setting it up for it to be safe. But, even after the draft, late April, you had May, June. You had the majority of July to put protocols together for camp to decide preseason or not preseason. The CBA didn't drag the players, laid down, they bend it over, and they let the owners bang them again. So it makes no sense for the National Football League not to have this together. It's the number one sports in America. It rakes in the most money. So they should have had all this done. They should have had where, the testing for the free agents. They should have had a free agent site or a third party that they team up with in all the 32 teams, cities. They should have made it where they can get them, they can do physicals at select labs or some makeshift labs in the team facility parking lot, and where these players can get money. So these free agents just stuck here and they really can't get no money, or get to a team right now. So it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Don't forget we on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All my social media links in the description. You want to make a donation to the channel, Cash App, PayPal description. Best way to donate. Share the video. Let me know what you think about the video. One time for the one time. Or see Sports Talk. We gone.